Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Beneath the Hollow Moon, where folklore burns slow and the strange never fades. I'm your host, Lorilei Potvin, and you are listening to us live on UFO Paranormal Radio Network and United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in Mississippi and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. I am here with my co-host, Kerrilynn Shellhorn, and tonight we are following the trail of vanishing hitchhikers and disappearing backpackers. Did you guys bring your jammies? I know you're in yours, Kerrilynn.
Got my jammies on and I'm all ready to tell ghost stories.
Yes. Ooh. So we had a dog that was going mental because it's still light. At least Kerrilynn's got the spooky vibe. I'm trying, and I forgot that my dog is terrified of my tripod. It was quite a little show before, guys. Yeah. Believe me, she's right here. She's not moving.
Poor Peanut, eh?
No, I know. And you can't get mad, right? Because she's anxious. And I always say this, right, to you, even off air, that our animals are mirrors of what we're going through or what we're feeling. So I kept saying, breathe, breathe.
Yeah, poor Peanut, but we're here. Thank you so much, Heidi Gould, for sharing us out.
Thank you.
We appreciate all of that love and support. Hello, Michelle Wilfong.
Hi. Did you guys bring your jammies and snacks and beverages?
Mm-hmm.
I almost wrote snacks and put in brackets s'mores, and then I thought, well, maybe that's a Canadian thing. I don't know.
S'mores?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Have you guys had the s'mores from Purdy's?
We don't have a Purdy's up here.
Oh,
yeah.
I'll bring some.
Ooh. We got lots of people filing in now. We got Rhonda Harris, our buddy over from the Riff Nation Network. And she's the freaking awesome paranormal show on Tuesdays, I think from memory, and then the Orion Effect on Sundays. We had Jackie Martin, Julie Dow, Kirby's 100. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody, did I? Oh, Lois Clark. That's a cool name.
Hi, Lois.
Mm-hmm. Reminds me of Superman. I'm sure she hears that lots. Well, it's Clark Kent, but still.
Clark Kent's t-shirt.
Yes. Oh, Michelle's comfy. She says she's in her comfy sweatpants and t-shirt. You can go lay down now. Yes, you can.
Lois.
Oh, Dell's here. He's going to see if we talk about, because some things that are coming up tonight. While we were getting ready, we were chatting, and I said, I'm going to mention this to Dell, and $100, he's going to know what we're talking about. And he did.
Yeah. Hi.
Pittsburgh Paranormal. Ooh, Heidi's in the vibe. She says, I'm in my jammies and still have snacky snacks. That's good. Awesome. So what else is exciting and new with you since I talked to you recently?
I grabbed my only snack that I grabbed was a Tums.
Yeah, you said yes.
I grabbed a Tums. But s'mores from Purdy's, folks, are so good. It's like a chocolate bar, but it's like big and square, and it's got caramel and covered in chocolate with big homemade marshmallow and that cookie kind of wafer on the bottom, and then all covered in chocolate.
Oh, yes. Like that's
yummy.
That's heaven. And can you heat them up?
No,
because you just go to goo.
Yeah, but they're so good.
Yes.
Hi, Sean. Thank you for being here.
Hi, Sean. We didn't know if it was you or not, but hi, Sean. Yeah. Sean's got his show on Sunday nights and Tuesday nights, and my mind just went blank because I know the name of his show.
Into the Night.
There you go. Into the Night. Welcome. Mm-hmm. So hopefully we get to both of our topics, and we were going to start with ghostly hitchhikers, but after we talked, I think, because you took one part and I took one part, I think the part that you started with is amazing.
Do you want to start with the did you know parts?
Sure. Let me grab my did you know notes. You can start with yours first, and then I go grab mine. Okay. Here we go. Did you know? So hang on, I got to grab my stuff here. Go ahead and start with yours, Kerrilynn, if you've got it. Yeah, because I had them all loaded up here, and then we had funny silliness.
So this was really a very interesting topic for me to research. And when I started researching, because originally I was looking at backpackers, right? People that have gone missing in national parks. And when I found there was all kinds of information that just took me down this deep dive. So when I was looking at the Did You Know, I wanted to know about missing people in national parks. And there's lots of reasons for it. Not paranormal and paranormal. Hi, Sam's pretty paranormal. Speaking of paranormal. So Sam Hunley, folks, Sam's pretty paranormal. Please follow her on her YouTube channel. She's got some amazing things going on over there. So did you know? So the United States, you guys in the United States, if you guys have extra little tidbits for us, please let us know. The United States National Park Services handles approximately 4,000 search and rescue cases annually. Yosemite National Park has had more than 30 individuals reported missing since 2017. Grand Canyon National Park, over 1,100 people have been reported missing between 2018 and 2023. Mount Rainier, I mess things up, folks, so bear with me. And thank you for being patient. Maybe I'll just keep saying thank you for being patient.
Okay.
National Park, approximately 400 people have vanished since 1989 in that park. Great Smoky Mountains National Park, over 1,600 documented missing person cases between 1944 and 2010. But in Canada, they don't have a national statistic for it. So there's no public national statistic for it. So detailing or finding the number of missing campers or backpackers, specifically within Canadian national parks, is really hard. So Parks Canada doesn't necessarily keep track, and it's reported to the RCMP, so our Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and they don't regularly publish any comprehensive park specific missing persons data. So the missing persons tends to be like just missing person in general. It's not specific to any parks. And then like our Ontario provincial police are the ones that investigated as too. And so sometimes they put those facts out.
So when it comes to ghostly hitchhikers, and I went with a global phenomena, one of the interesting things that I hadn't seen, never mind the fact that no matter what you look up, it's constantly, doesn't matter if you use a search engine, even certain AI, whatever, they constantly call it a myth and a legend, which if you dig deep enough, and we have dug deep enough, there is physical evidence. Well, there is evidence caught on camera. But the Did You Know that I found, I didn't realize that in some of these people's reports, even if I think one was even caught on camera, that it was a famous one where they're leaving physical evidence behind. And these people look like real people getting picked up, asking to actually having communication, because there was reports too where people, they didn't communicate. Like you'd ask them a question, they just would stare straight ahead, get in the back of the car. One of the people that we both like that I found out lives sort of in your area, Selena Spooky Boo, she shared her own story where the girl didn't quite communicate and disappeared, right?
Yeah.
But these people are leaving like sandwiches. Let me put my glasses on. I found that interesting because I hadn't heard that before. So they're leaving physical evidence, as many stories involve tangible items left behind, scarves, jackets, or books that later vanish or are identified by families of the living that were related to the supposedly ghostly hitchhiker that's been picked up. The other thing that was interesting, and this is the one I mostly saw, well, two, that there's also been reports of non-ghostly entities, like typical ghosts. Some of the hitchhikers come across as deities. They put like Pele with saints, Mother Cabrini, or even extraterrestrials, as noticed in a publication by the name of Western Folklore. And it says these variants suggest cultural interpretations of the unknown, amplified possibly by digital retellings. And Joe Montaldo, quit laughing at us. You can on here and tell us some New Orleans, French Quarter.
No, we're not inviting Joe to come in and start talking now because he'll take over.
I'm going to be hanging with the boys tomorrow night, as it is.
Yes.
And then the chat on Saturday night. So, of course, he's listening in last. Should we get this now? He's in the chat. He goes, what? I'm scared. You're interrupting my facts. The other one I was going to add to was when you've had an area that's had a major catastrophe, and we're looking at possibly Japan with the earthquakes and the tsunami. There were increased reports of ghostly hitchhikers getting into the back of vehicles, and they said at least 7 reports after the 2011 earthquake, but I think there are a lot more because I've seen a lot of video. Now people will say they're faked and what have you, but I don't know, they look pretty real.
Oh, see, I read a book about the ghost experiences after the tsunami, and they treat the ghost fairs with respect. And there's a Netflix docuseries about it as well too. There's a Netflix doc specifically about the Japanese peoples having those ghost experiences, and they really do treat them with a lot of respect, right? Like they cover the fairs for those people.
But Japanese and Eastern, like Asian culture, really has a different way of honoring even the living in generational family members, as well as they, from what I've seen, not every home, but a lot of homes in Asian culture have even an altar to honor the ancestors and to even what I've noticed being a nurse is even living in Canada, that a lot of those traditions still have passed over, say, to North America. I can't speak for the rest of the world. And people are still bringing in their elderly and looking after them. And there can be many generations that they do that with.
Yeah. Hi, Victoria, Astrolight Paranormal. Have fun on your investigation. Be safe. Look forward to seeing any evidence that you get when you're able to, or if you are able to share. Thanks for popping in and saying hi.
You got Beck Girl 84 here. I haven't got my glasses on, and we're in the dark. We were trying to make it spooky, so I have my. You guys can't see. It's got little horns. The Canadian toque instead of
That's so funny. That is so funny.
So that's what Jay commented. We'll have to see what Jay's saying. He must, because I don't think we're getting all the Facebook comments here. Because Jay's commenting. Jay McNicholas. Oh, sir. I have no idea. This was his joke he made. I think were you there? It was, I think, last week. Remember, he said, "What's the opposite of Ontario, where we're from?"
Ontario.
Yeah, and that just came up as a notification on my phone now. I have no idea why.
That's funny.
You like the spooky vibe? Well, that's cool. We were trying to think of doing something a little different, and we found out we do not live close to one another. We have matching jammies.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
Yes, just a little bit.
Oh, good.
So those were the.
Michelle Wilfon, you did see the Netflix documentary. It was emotional. It was very emotional to watch, and I mean, so many bodies were not recovered, right? So
I remember watching the tsunami. The kids had the TV on that Boxing Day, I remember, and all of a sudden, I don't know if I was married to my husband first husband at the time, and he came and said, "Are you seeing what's going on in with the tsunami?" I know it wasn't in Japan, but it was in the. I remember seeing it in Thailand when it happened, and that was insane. Well, thank you. You guys all got to wear jammies tomorrow night.
Yeah. Next week we're dressing up too, so stay tuned for that.
Yes, we are. We figured we'll add a little bit of that to the fun of Beneath the Hollow Moon. So so those were some of the things I came up with. A lot of the did you know facts that I was able to find when I was looking kind of sort of came along with what our research is and what we were going to talk about tonight anyway. So I was surprised by the physical items. Had you heard that before?
Yeah.
Of course. I hadn't heard that before. I was surprised. little bit of a way to prove it, I guess.
Are we going to start digging down into vanishing, disappearing backpackers? Because this was honestly, this is going to turn into another show at another point in time.
You did most of the research on that, and it blew my mind what you were sharing with me. Absolutely. I'll get
what
that.
Are you saying no to, Sean?
Pajamas tomorrow night.
Yes.
Yes, I think it would be awesome.
Unless it's a no pajamas.
Oh God, no. God, no. I'm going to send this to me while you're that video.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is read it. I wrote it out for you guys in order for me to. We're just going to read some of this stuff for you. Are you able to queue up that video for us?
I'm doing it right now.
You are amazing.
I already did it. I'm just sending it to me so I can send it. I already downloaded. I thought you wanted me to download it, so I downloaded it, but now it's downloaded anyway. So hang on.
Scooby-Doo pajamas are awesome. I think that's great. Okay. So what I found, we're going to talk about the Nahanni National Park Reserve in Canada's Northwest Territories. Have you guys heard about the Nahanni National Park Reserve? I know Dal did. So, which, you told me Del will know what I was talking about.
I said to you when you told me I hadn't heard of it, and I said $100. I'm going to say this to him, and he was being sorry, that wasn't supposed to come up yet. It was supposed to stay off the stage. Anyways, I said $100. He's going to know this. I've never heard of this stuff, and he heard his name called, and he had to stick his nose. And yes, he did. Know.
Michelle Wilfong, I hadn't either. So once I started, it was, and I'm still not done. I purchased 2 books today, so I'm going to read more so we can do a whole segment about it. So the Nahanni National Park Reserve is in the Northwest Territories. So it is often referred to as the Valley of the Headless Men. And it is so steep with mystery, folklore, legend. So over the past century, numerous unexplained deaths and disappearances have occurred in this remote wilderness, many involving decapitations, unexplained fires, and eerie folklore. So it's also known as the Nahanni Valley. So legends of gold mines, lost gold mines, forgotten tribes, and high strangeness, including doorways to hollow earth. There's so much here, folks.
Well, so, even the missing tribe, once you get into that, like all these things you said, I had no idea. I'll stop talking. You guys won't believe this stuff. It's like going to a different
planet. Heading there. So the park is not easily accessed. It can only be reached by bush plane, boat, or a long hike through dense wilderness and rugged terrain. Nahanni National Park Reserve holds Canada's deepest river canyons, up to 1,200 meters deep. And they have geographical markers such as Deadman Valley, Headless Valley, Funeral Range, and Hell's Gate. So those are just some of the markers. So it is, it has been dubbed Canada's Bermuda Triangle. So historically, the region was home to the indigenous Dene people who settled there 10,000 years ago. The Dene stories are the Nahanni, are in the Nahanni Valley, once inhabited by warlike tribe called the Naha, known for raiding the Dene settlements. And this Naha tribe mysteriously vanished from the Nahanni Valley, leaving behind no tales of their sudden disappearance. They just disappeared. The whole tribe just disappeared.
That almost made me think of the Mayans when we were talking about this afternoon. I said it's almost like the same legend, but where did they go?
Some legends suggest that the Naha were connected to the hairy giants that had a pale-skinned chiefess leader. So no trace of the Naha peoples have been found. The Dene stayed away from the valley because they considered it an evil place. So the giant, hairy, man-eating giants were called the Nakani, and they are said to dwell in their caves during the day and come out at night to hunt.
Del says the little people are there, just to throw it in there where you're talking about right
Yeah,
now.
so little people as well too. So there is also unexplained lights, Bigfoot sightings, UFO sightings. There's theories of the valley being a thin spot where dimensions intersect and create an entrance to Hollow Earth. So this mystical, hidden, tropical valley with surviving prehistoric species like the mastodons and bear dogs. Have you heard of bear dogs before? That was all new for me, bear dogs.
And that's what Del knew. I said, $100 I'm going to ask him. He'll know what a bear dog is.
Yeah. So I'm under the impression like that. So potentially one big portal, timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly stuff happening for sure. And then all of this, is there dimensional stuff? Is it timeline stuff? But this bear dog, like a dire wolf or potentially like a dire wolf, but even bigger. Like that's the thing.
Oh. Didn't you say their tails were 4 feet long?
Yeah, I'm going to get there.
Okay. So, I'm getting ahead of myself because it blew my mind. The stuff you found.
So this bear dog known as the Wahila, which was that name came into play, Wahila, with Ivan Sanderson, who was an explorer, studied high strangeness, adventurer. He comes into this story a little bit. He was an eccentric zoologist, is something else that I found out about him. So he kind of coined that term, Wahila. Is said to have gone extinct 8 million years ago, and it's believed to have supernatural strength and is responsible for decapitations. I don't think hellhound. I didn't get that vibe, but potentially. So let's play that video, and then I'll get into the stories.
Okay, hang on. It's not very long, guys, so hang on.
It's very short.
One second here. There we go. Okay, hang on.
Are you afraid of the Wahila, also known as the saber wolf? The Wahila stalks the cold forests of Alaska and Canada's Northwest Territories. Unlike its wolf cousins, this colossal white canine is a solitary hunter and is known for its gruesome habit of biting off the heads of its victims. Some believe it to be a surviving dire wolf from the Ice Age. Are you afraid of the Wahila?
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, so that was good that you found this video.
Mm-hmm. So the Wahila is said to have been given its name by Ivan T. Sanderson. They say it's like a bear dog sort of creature. So Ivan T. Sanderson, how he comes into play is in 1960s. He's approached by a young mechanic from Philadelphia named Frank Graves. Frank Graves read Sanderson's book, Abominable Snowman, Legend Come to Life. And so he wanted to come to the Northwest Territories to investigate Bigfoot. And Sanderson hooked him up with 4 other people that also wanted to investigate looking for Bigfoot. They had a native Canadian person as a guide, helping them navigate because the terrain is incredible, right? So they navigate this terrain together. Mm-hmm. So where did they make? Oh, so they made base at this enormous waterfall called Virginia Falls. Mm. So it's very deep in the Nahanni Valley. And we look up Virginia Falls in the reserve. Like when you see the image of it, it's incredible. So in the then they have their guides. So they go on this hunting excursion, and Frank Graves is sort of separate from their guide. The guide had brought a dog with him. So he can't see the guide and he can't see the dog anymore, but he hears this trees crackling and breaking. And so he gets his 12 gauge shotgun ready because he's prepared for something to come through the forest at him, thinking that it's going to potentially be the dog or something else. But what appears is this massive, massive dog, and it stands up on its hind legs. So he shoots the 12 gauge shotgun at this creature, and the creature just sort of shrugs it off like it was a fly and just leisurely just strolls past Frank Graves, right? So the guide heard all the noise and comes running back, and he listened to the story that Frank Graves shared, and he didn't say anything. He just insisted that they go back down to where they had made camp, pack up, and head to the boat to leave. He no longer wanted to be there. Once they got back to where they needed to be, he explained that that was a creature that is rarely seen. It is ancient and it is murderous. So second Ivan Sanderson story was a letter was sent to Ivan Sanderson that claimed.
I found it.
Do you have a picture of the fall?
I found a picture of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool picture. Do you want me to pull it up? Or it's up already?
Look at that.
Here you go. That's why I picked this one, because you can see it, but the falls, it looks like regular falls. It's beautiful. This website is Nahanni.com. It's a blog, and this one is called Our Guide to Nahanni, but I was looking up the falls and look at the rainbow. Falls. Yes. Like it literally looks like when you see it from overhead, like a block, like using a drone, it almost looks like an indentation, almost like it's like almost like a portal in a way.
And that's only one of them. There's more. Like there's it's incredible.
See, people are in a boat below. There's some of the falls. Oh, that's interesting. That one, Nahanni River Adventures.
Yeah, it does look magical, doesn't it, Sam?
Yeah. So I thought
I
didn't mean to interrupt, but I wanted to grab one when we were reading.
Yeah, no, it's great. Thank you so much. So back in October 1970, while this man was visiting Moosonee, Northern Ontario, those of us from Ontario will know Moosonee, he heard tell of this creature from a Dene native who claimed to hail from the Nahanni country. So the Dene were terrified of these monsters, and the man said that this monster, this bear dog, are impossible to kill. They look like this massive husky, but larger, bigger than, kind of akin to Saint Bernard is what the report was, with an 11-foot long body and a 4-foot long tail. So the rear portion of the body slopes away in the manner of a bear, and the head appears to be low slung, flattened, and has a broad muzzle, and the colors range from brown to white. So here's where there's just more, folks. There's just more to this.
Well, somebody had posted, I think Sam did, about in Texas at the 3 supposedly dire wolf pups while you're looking.
Really, eh?
Well, I knew about that. There's is it Remus and Romulus, or the 6-month-old or 8-month-old pups, and then there's a female named Khaleesi that's much younger, but they're all white. These supposedly, I guess, re-engineered dire wolves. So, because it makes me ask too with these creatures.
Yeah,
if they're basically not invulnerable to anything, you can't kill them. What happened to them? Like, why did they suddenly, like, they seem to be way, way, way back from the past yet there's still legend of them. Did they just go underground? Did they go?
That's what I think.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think. So here comes the weird, where we're pulling it into.
Bye, Sean. Bring your Scooby jammies tomorrow night. He said he's going to wear Scooby-Doo jammies.
So here's where these backpackers, gold miners, hunters, people that have entered into the Nahanni National Park Reserve go missing. So we're going to start all the way back with Willie and Frank McLeod from 1908. It says 1908. Yeah. So in 1906, the McLeod brothers ventured into the Nahanni Valley seeking gold. 2 years later, their headless skeletons were discovered near what's now called the Headless Creek in Deadman Valley. Mm-hmm. The cause of their decapitation remains unknown, only speculating more fear. And they had a companion that was with them as well, too. So there was the three of them had gone looking for gold, and he's never been found. So the brothers were found, but they're with no heads, and the companion was missing. Martin Jorgensen in 1917, a Swiss prospector. So Jorgensen established a cabin in the valley in 1917. His cabin was found burned to the ground, and his headless body was near the cabin. Circumstances very similar to the McLeod brothers. So similar stories. In 1926, a woman named Annie Lafferty in the valley near Flat River got separated from her hunting party. So she got lost in the wilderness and she just disappeared. Several months later, an Indigenous man reported seeing Annie climbing a rock face naked, seemingly out of her mind. And as far as I know, I didn't find any reports of her being recovered. Like there was no reports of her being recovered and supported. So then we get to this fellow named Yukon Fisher. So I don't know what his first name is. So Yukon Fisher, 1927, an outlaw and part-time prospector. Fisher fled to the Nahanni to escape the Royal Canadian Mountain Police, and he was later found decapitated in a burned-out camp. So just adding and fueling to the story, right? So Phil Powers, 1931. Powers became another victim when his campsite was discovered consumed by fire, and he was also found beheaded. So the pattern of burned shelters and decapitations just keep persisting. There was an unidentified miner in 1945. So a miner from Ontario was found dead inside his sleeping bag with his head missing. So the identity has remained unknown and his death remains unsolved. David Horsey and Frederick Hardesty. So this is more recent, from 2005. I mean, if we're talking like 1908 is where we're beginning the stories, this comes up to 2005. So in a more recent case, experienced outdoorsmen Horsey and Hardesty died under mysterious circumstances. The men went to stay at a friend's cabin along the North Nahanni River, June 12th, 2005. The friend who owned the cabin went back 4 days later, only to discover that the men were missing. Food was still in the cabin, firearms in the cabin, and there was no sign of where they had gone. The RCMP were called. They searched for a week and concluded that there was no foul play involved. Later, it was reported that firearms had been discharged in the cabin. So on June 27th, David's body was found 3.7 kilometers away from the cabin, and he was found with burns on his hands and arms. And that area had already been searched many times, and the body hadn't been found in those previous searches. Then on July 8th, Fred Hardesty's body was discovered floating in the North Nahanni River, 20 kilometers away from the cabin, in an area also previously searched multiple times. So all of these, like that thin spot, UFO sightings, Bigfoot sightings, unexplained sightings. There's so much mystery attached to, and they call it like Canada's Bermuda Triangle, that particular area.
Del just put that he says there's a river there that has a small island in the middle. Supposedly there is a treasure there, but anyone that enters the island does not come back.
So the original Willie and Frank McLeod from 1908, they say that their gold treasure is somewhere there, still waiting to be found, that they did have treasure and had their treasure and no one has been able to find it. So that could be what you are referring to, Del. Hammer, just as I can tell you in a second, Marie.
Yeah, Marie was asking about the books, I guess. Yeah. So I'm going to try and pull up this picture here as we're talking. Okay, no, I don't want your... Goodness gracious. They want to send you everything when you open a web page.
No.
Hang on here. Yeah, that's as big as we're going to get with this picture, I guess, because I'm talking to myself.
So the first one.
Hi, Michelle Plummer.
Legends of Nahanni Valley by Hammerson, Hammerson Peters, Hammerson Peters. Sorry, I'm looking.
Yeah, I don't have... I go to a lot of video and books and stuff like that too, but...
So this one is more just because I wanted to see the imagery of it. So it's not necessarily historical, but Nahanni River of Gold, River of Dreams.
Probably if you just look up the Nahanni River or the falls, like I just happened to find that picture right now while Kerrilynn was reading, you probably find a lot of stuff.
But that first one, the first one I think is more like worth all of the stories and historical things. So that's the one that I would suggest. The other one's more like a table, but
I was shocked when you were telling me all this today because we're Canadian. And I had never, like, I've heard of the Alaska Triangle. I've heard of many different triangles. I know we have a mini, almost type of triangle here in Lake Superior that we talked about off air. But I never heard of this in Northwestern. Well, it's not the Northwest Territories anymore, but never heard of that.
No, I hadn't either. And just so much, like we understand with doing backwoods, like deep backwoods backpacking, there's going to be all kinds of just natural things that can happen, right? Like the terrain, not knowing the terrain, not being educated enough or skilled enough to know how to survive. Animals, like those are just like left brain natural things that can happen. But the mystical part to all of that, and having like they see that those giants scream at night. There is eerie screams and sounds. Yeah, that people hear as well too. So was it dimensional? Like if you think about how Atlantis vibrated, the frequency shifted and changed at that frequency. But I don't know if I would tap into that or buy that theory, because if they were the aggressors, that's more low energy stuff. Like why would they vibrate into a higher dimensional space if they were kind of on the low dodgy end of things, right? So I don't know.
Well, to me though, okay, so there's some, like, we're going to dig deeper into this, we said, because we could do a whole show just on this one place, because the hairy giants, like
hairy giants.
Yeah, but were they talking about Bigfoot? Were they talking about a different type of species?
So from what I read, the feeling I got, it was separate. Bigfoot was separate, and these giants were a whole other creature.
I was a return. I didn't even expect you to answer that. Never mind, like the hollow earth. Like, what's with the hollow earth? What's in there? Did somebody go there and come back? Like, why is it called? And I'm just putting rhetorical questions out there.
Oh
that
yeah, because it's just fun to have those kind of conversations, right?
Mm-hmm.
What makes that area have that opening? How does that opening even happen?
Or bear dogs. I never heard of a bear dog.
Bear dog. Yeah. 11 foot long body with a 4 foot long tail.
I wonder
And then
if that's
standing
what I
upright.
saw. Sorry, it's standing upright?
And then if it was to stand upright, like if it stood upright, like if it was, that's massive.
I was thinking out loud because I've told this story before about when we lived in a really active house. And I know I've told you this before too. Della and I both seen one that was black, about that size with red eyes. We could see it on our camera. But I was outside and witnessed this with my own eyes about 15, 20 feet away. This massive white, shimmery, looked like a wolf almost, but it was like the size almost of a bus between the tail and the whole body. And it was just slowly walking. And I was talking to a friend on the phone, as girls do, and she's in a different time zone. I remember it was on the weekend. She's going, "Oh, I just love the color of your new hair color," because when it was kind of caramel brown. And she goes, what's the name of it? So I go, "Oh, I'll just run outside and grab it. It's right on top of the garbage here." And so as I'm grabbing it, she's going, "Lorilei, get back inside. Lorilei, get back inside." And I'm going, "But why? Oh my gosh, can you see this?" And I've got the camera like showing her in the whole bit, right? And it's walking, and as it walks so slowly, it turns and it looks at me, and it has the most vibrant aqua blue eyes. And she's yelling at me, and I'm going, stop, hang on just a sec. I want to watch this. So it starts to walk across the street. It gets to a telephone pole. As it walks by, it's like it's gone. And finally, okay, fine, I'm going inside. I said, "What was the big panic?" And she goes, "You didn't hear all the growling and snarling?" I go, "No." And my son, my oldest son at the time, was awake still. He was in his bedroom. He didn't know what was going on. And he even yelled from the bedroom, "Hey, Mom, what's going on?" He goes, "I just heard a whole bunch of growling and snarling and stuff." I didn't hear it. But it was this big white beast of a dog. Like, I don't know if it's the same. It didn't stand up, but that's
so dimensional. You're lucky you still have your head. You're lucky you have hair to color.
Yes. I was mesmerized by this. I'd never seen something so I couldn't believe she couldn't see it. Like, we were live on video chat, and I turned I'm going, "How can you not see this?" Like, it was so incredible. So I'm lucky I have a head.
Lucky you have a head. That the bear dog didn't like decapitate you. But why like the decapitations and fire? And and this is like between like 1908 up to 2005. So if it was a person, if there was people or peoples that were doing this, like there would have to be a copycat along the way. If we're left brain thinking this, then there's that. This just has such a weird vibe.
Yeah, what animal does that even? Like, if the bear dog, like it's reported, decapitates its prey, if you will. Well, it's not really prey because it obviously sounds like the bodies were still there, if some of them, but the heads
just
were
ripping
gone.
the head off. It's like playing like an orca with a seal. We're just gonna play with it for a while, and
then the fire. Like, why the fire too? Like that. I have so many questions.
Have you guys heard in the chat? Have you guys heard about any of those? Have you heard about that? Any of those stories? And all in one spot. So at one point, Michelle Wilfong is sharing, we have hikers lost, missing every year here.
But everybody's going, wow, that I was seeing as you were reading and saying, this is crazy. Like that, Michelle Wilfong, that's crazy. Sam's pretty paranormal. Oh, wow. Like, people have been, and some people, I think if I saw it, said they had never heard of a bear dog before. Sean thought maybe a hellhound. I think you might have saw that, but.
But maybe I'm not necessarily feeling, but I would love people's opinion or thoughts on it, like that it's actually something that is from hollow earth, but they're saying it's prehistoric and it's potentially coming up from or part of hollow earth.
But then you get people that don't even believe the hollow earth exists, right? Yet I've seen reports of people and a picture. Now, again, I know we always got to be careful in this day and age with AI and everything, but of an actual ocean with a lake in it as they've gone quite deep into the earth, or even underwater really deeply too. So there's a lot of stuff. Oh, Sam says she's definitely going to be researching this.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be up your alley. So it's like Canada's Bermuda Triangle, the Nahini National Park Reserve in the Northwest Territories. And that's just that one park that has all of those different disappearances. So this isn't, disappearances with other, like once I started on this one, I didn't look at any of the other parks either for their
because we hear about the other ones, so like Yellowstone and all these other
or
things.
just even like in Canada. But I did find this fellow that has Bigfoot mapping. So United States and Canada, I think it's all over the world is when I looked at it. So it would be interesting to see if there's any correlation to exactly dogmen or Bigfoot and backpackers that go missing. The problem is that Canada doesn't report in the same way the backpackers missing as but why as the United States?
Yeah, you want it. Like I was telling you, we had a report of a young girl, early 20s. We have a national park right between the, we live in Thunder Bay, so rural Thunder Bay, and it's the border between Canada and the US into Minnesota. And interesting place for a provincial park, but she was out for a run out there and disappeared. Nobody's ever found her. There's never been any hint nor hair of her. It's got to be at least 10, 12 years since she disappeared. And her poor family, like I think they hired people because I think she was going to school up here because her family wasn't from this city, but obviously in Canada or in Ontario. But they never found her.
Wait, how would a whole tribe go missing?
That's yes. Like how?
And it was the aggressive tribe, the tribe that was coming down from the hills into the lowlands to attack that settlement.
I almost feel like they went back to Middle Earth, like kind of where they came from, but why? Like what made them?
You think they came from Middle Earth?
I don't know. Like I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know. What do you feel? Where do you think they came from?
Well, I don't know.
You know what my other question is?
But if they were the aggressors, then good for them. They're gone.
Exactly. But probably somebody else has to deal with them. Okay, so my other question I was thinking, and it's a rhetorical question. Love to hear people's thoughts, everybody's thoughts. So you had all these reports, from the early 1900s, and then there seemed to be a stretch. And then all of a sudden, 2005, like what happened? Why all of a sudden?
Yeah. So... I don't know. 1945. So there's a stretch between 45 and 60 years. Yeah, in 2005. I know, Sam. So Lorilei and I have talked about doing the Lost Colony of Roanoke as a segment. I think that we're going to do that.
Yeah. Because you could see it's tragic when, well, the bad guys, maybe not so much, but when a person or a few people, this is a whole, if you will, civilization, a whole tribe of people just up and gone. Like where'd they go?
And like those stories when just came to the forefront first before the UFOs, before the Bigfoot. And when we are talking about high strangeness and ghost stories and those paranormal encounters, unexplainable, UFO, and Bigfoot are usually top on the list, right? We're usually getting those stories first, and it wasn't in this park, which I found fascinating as well too. Like
I'm just blown away. Well, actually, Dell talked to me about it after we got off the phone, and he was because he's worked in the bush quite a bit, as he had shared with you, and he was saying how you'll hear from biologists and geneticists and zoologists that it's not possible for bear and wolf DNA to commingle and create, if you will, progeny. And we were talking about possible origins of this bear dog, and I said,
right.
well, how do we know too that maybe some scientists in different parts of the world weren't messing with the genetics? No, it's been around forever, or did it come from off planet or something, that this species was created through an experiment, almost maybe.
Let's mix things up in the petri dish and see what happens.
Because then we got into other cryptids. We had an interesting conversation because, like, look at, and again, just a theory in what you see, but even just Plum Island, what you hear and what you see coming from out of there. Now, I'm not saying that's where the bear dog came from, because it was around much earlier than anything like this existed.
Well, I am. And why would we feel that we know all of the species that exist?
I agree. Yep.
Maybe there's things that we don't know of yet.
That's weird. If it really is part bear, part dog, kind of spliced together.
I don't know. But they're calling it bear dog, but other people are saying like that direwolf, right?
Well, I still have questions. I know we talked about this off air before too, with the direwolves and other people that I know you could have this conversation with off air. Why would we say that the direwolf is pure white? Like, right? These are the ones that we've seen recreated. Then I have questions too. I know I'm getting off track. I promise I got back on track.
No, that's okay.
Okay, with the direwolf, and they said it was a close call between the direwolf and the woolly mammoth. But who are we? Because every time I've seen humanity think that we know better than Mother Nature, we don't. And the thing is, the woolly mammoth existed, for example, in a completely different time than what we have on this planet now. Like, what does it eat? How does it commingle? Is it like regular, elephant species that actually form families and close bonds? Like, where do you put a beast? And I don't say that disrespectfully, but where do you put something like that when it came from a completely different time?
Yeah. And that's part of the reports of this park are things like mastodons. Even like there are things that were in this hollow earth that may have come up.
That could have been too. Yeah.
Sam, I wonder, is that who's going to be on?
Is that it? The comment?
Is that the guest on Richie's show, Richie and Mojo's show on Saturday? Is that who you guys are having? So Sam also helps produce Bigfoot Banter with Richie B on Saturdays. So did I see that banner correctly? Is that who's the guest on Saturday? Bear dog is a native culture.
Yeah,
she'll be on Richie's show. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yeah, so folks, head over there and maybe she'll have an answer to that question. Because my thinking is it's the same creature but given different names from different people.
Well, the other person I wanted to check out that I mentioned that actually was Delva, I found the channel from a few years back. He's got a channel on YouTube called How to Hunt. He's a Canadian. I don't care for his personality that much, but the reason why he's fascinating to watch is he lives out in the wilderness out in British Columbia, but he gets stories from people all around the world of people that have had encounters with, he doesn't call them Bigfoot or Sasquatch anymore, but Sabe. I believe that's an indigenous word for them. But he's also getting, like, I forgot to tell you this even before we got off, before we went live, there was a picture he got sent because he's starting to get pictures and video now. This thing looked like a tree know me type of thing, huge, fierce. Like, I'm wondering if he's gotten people writing in about these bear dogs. It'd be interesting to go through and see if he has something like that.
So I would look at bear dog and wahili at the same time, because all the
Yes.
same right? Same
Yeah.
creatures. So which cultures are saying which name too? I'm curious about.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, and those are just, I'm sure that there's stuff that's not even reported in that area, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know much about Hollow Earth? I don't know much about it.
I haven't dug deep into it, just sort of from what you see from, potential myths and legends, certain stories that have been out there and what have you. There's those the green kids that showed up that supposedly came from Middle Earth. There's a story about them. Have you heard that story?
No.
Oh,
My brain went to like Lake Superior Provincial Park. So the provincial park along Lake Superior is pretty magical too, like
are
Bigfoot
you talking about
sightings,
Sibley?
UFO
Are you talking
sightings.
about Sibley?
Pardon?
I think there's a few. Are you talking about Sibley, the one that's about an hour and a half outside of Thunder Bay, if you're going towards the Sioux?
So Lake Superior Provincial Park, right?
It might have been renamed that. I knew it as Sibley, but it was renamed. It was renamed, I think.
It's not Lake Superior Provincial Park anymore?
No, I think it used to be Sibley. I think that is the new name of it. Del, if you're in the chat, let us know, because I can't remember.
Yeah, there's lots of places to hide for sure. But I know like Lake Superior, like the provincial park and all those areas along there has the same sort of weirdness attached to it. So is it the Indigenous connection? Is it points on Earth that hold mystical energies for a reason, that it's anchored, like points to connect us all together? So is it like a compass, right? Like anchoring us in places? Like Lake Superior Provincial Park has all the same sort of kind of stories, but I've not heard Hollow Earth connected to it. But there is that triangle in Lake Superior as well too, in the water.
Well, the Hollow Earth, the story I've heard, and if you look it up, people, depending on what search engine, they're going to say this was myth, this was legend. But I dug into this a few years back, and it was a story, I believe, don't quote me, but I think it's from the early 1900s. These two children that were completely green colored, and they did not speak a language anybody had ever heard, just seemed to appear. And the little boy passed away, I think, because they couldn't eat the regular food at first. But the girl grew up and was able to learn to speak English and stuff, so she could explain where they came from. And I believe she said from Hollow Earth, like Middle Earth, and was able to explain the green color and the whole bit. Like, it's a really fascinating story.
Interesting.
Yes, it was Sibley. Del said it's now Lake Superior. I figured, yeah. So we're talking the same park. It used to be called Sibley, and they changed it to Lake Superior Provincial Park.
Okay. Thank you, Sparky's Idaho Paranormal, Sam's Breeding Paranormal.
Please read, because it's interesting.
Talton. If I mess up words, folks, so Talton bear dogs were found mostly with the Talton Indians in the Pacific Northwest Territories in Canada, but they traded their dogs with many other tribes around them. These same small, shorter-haired dogs were also found in the southwestern Indian groups of America.
Ooh,
thank you.
Interesting. Yeah, as soon as you said Lake Superior, and I was thinking about, that's why I asked Del if you're in the chat, can you look it up? Because it was always known as Sibley Provincial Park. And then probably about 15 years ago, it seems, maybe 20 years ago, they changed it to Lake Superior Provincial Park.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Same as we have the Terry Fox Monument here, for anybody that knows Terry Fox, because he finished his journey. I wasn't working at the hospital when he was brought in. I hadn't started nursing school yet when he was brought in.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we have. We also have Wilmette Canyon. That is a strange place to go to. Same if you were going out to Lake Superior Provincial Park. It isn't as big as the Grand Canyon, but holy cow, I don't know what landed there to create that big hole in the ground. It's a huge, massive canyon.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we need to dig deeper and just like see what more we can find about this park and a little bit more. But backpacker stuff, once I started with this backpacking story, with this one I just went down the rabbit hole, and just minding our time, because it is 20 after 8. So should I do our station
Sure.
station ID now?
Sure.
If you are just tuning in now, thank you so much for being here. You are listening to Beneath the Hollow Moon with hosts Kerrilynn Shellhorn and Lorilei Potvin, and you are listening to us live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 in the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in beautiful New Orleans. And tonight we are going down the trail of vanishing hitchhikers and disappearing backpackers. And we just finished talking about the Nahanni Provincial Reserve Park Reserve, Nahanni Provincial Park Reserve in the Northwest Territories, and all of the missing peoples. And it's not just like, I don't know, what I am curious about is what the number of missing peoples are and how many go unreported. So we heard about those ones because their stories were so tragic, right? And terrifying, like decapitations and burns. So how many are still missing in that?
Well, I thought you were going to go down, because I was more drawn to the hitchhiker phenomena, and you, not that we both weren't drawn to these topics, because we were, but I have heard about the phenomena of people that are in a park or kids, and somebody just goes a little bit around the corner and all of a sudden they're gone. They've disappeared. And then you get into a bit of a conspiracy about what's happening. Why are these people missing? Like there was nowhere for them to go. It's like they
I let brain go serial killer right away. I just go serial killer.
But there's conspiracy too.
A lot of conspiracy.
A lot that happens around supposed underground military bases that are close to some of these parks where this is happening.
Is that what Del was talking about?
No, I know that. He might have been. No, he was talking about this park you were talking about.
Well, he said that there are military bases near all provincial parks.
Mm-hmm. I believe it. Yeah. And he was talking about HARP. I think he put it higher up in the comments, HARP. And there was something else that was supposedly close to. Yeah. So what's going on? One of these days, I'm sure we'll dig into even the Antarctic, because you could do a whole show even on that. Like, what's going on there? Why can't you fly over?
Yeah. I don't know. But it's crazy stuff for sure. What did you find? Unless you want to keep talking about this.
I'm happy to. A lot of people have heard about this phenomena of basically ghostly hitchhikers. And I was sort of taking a global perspective on it, taking a look at what's the different legends and lore. And Japan, for some reason, and you touched on this briefly at the beginning of the show, and then you were talking, I didn't even know about the Netflix series, and I think that's a wonderful thing that, that it's been picked up as a documentary, if you will, like movie, and shared about that. That's, I think, is a wonderful thing. But like, for example, I was looking at regular occurrences around the world. There's one here I have that I will pull up, but I'll start with what I have here. Give me a sec, because I pulled up one of these that's quite common. So I basically put out in the search, what can you tell me about ghostly hitchhikers from different parts of the world? So ghostly hitchhiker stories are global phenomena blending local culture, history, and fears into tales of spectral travelers who vanish from vehicles, often leaving a chill or clue behind. I respectfully disagree. because there's been a lot that's been caught on camera long before Photoshop, long before anything like it, because they referred to it in the one part of a lot of the research. These urgent legends rooted in folklore reflect universal themes of loss, unfinished business, and the liminality of roads as spaces between worlds. Now that's interesting. Hang on. So some of the research that I was looking at was cultural significance or any details. But even before we dig into that, you and I had an interesting conversation about this, because depending on where you go, and I'll cover some of these in the next few minutes, but is it, and we'd love to hear your thoughts too. Hello, Kasoon. Glad you got up to join us, because it's middle of the night over in Sri Lanka. Is it a thing of grief? Is it a thing of revenge? Is it like a residual haunting? That it's an energetic signature because of the tragedy that happened, because it's usually a car accident or something along those lines that we see.
Do they not know they're dead?
True. That's the other one. Do they not know they're dead? And so there was many stories, and I'm just going to go through some of them from around the world. Mexican and Asian cultures make stories and have a day that, yes, we know that, but thank you for the reminder. We've got Barbara, right? I saw Barbara. Hi, Barbara. So some of the things I came up with. So there's North America, Resurrection Mary in Chicago, USA. It's one of the most famous ghostly hitchhikers. Resurrection Mary haunts Archer Avenue near Resurrection Cemetery. She's a young woman in a white dress. Why are they always in white dresses?
I don't know why they're always in a white dress. I will not be in a white dress, folks.
Nope. They're gonna. Well, I'm not gonna be buried. I want to be cremated. So Resurrection Mary, the story goes that she's often picked up by drivers after a night at the Willowbrook Ballroom. She's silent and soft-spoken, and she asks to be dropped off at the cemetery, vanishing as soon as the car approaches the gates. That actually reminded me of the episode that's like that, sort of, in Supernatural. I don't know if you've seen that episode where it's a woman that shows up, but she's kind of murderous, and she wants to be brought to this particular home. And then you find out why, because she had taken the lives of her 2 children. And I guess she was cuckoo, and I'm not being disrespectful, but long story short, it was up to Sam and Dean to right the wrong and to send her back where she belongs. Gotcha. So they're saying this Resurrection Mary is linked to a 1930s car accident victim, as well as Polish American immigrant communities and tragic love stories. So then we have the girl on the curve, and this is in Spain and the USA. And it's interesting because I keep thinking of the woman in white, La Llorona, because it's always this woman weeping, right? She's not a ghostly hitchhiker, but I've seen lots of video, lots of stories. But this one is called The Girl on the Curve. It's known as La Chica de la Cuerva Curva in Spain. This legend has a North American cousin. The driver picks up a young woman, often in white, who warns of danger or gives an address before disappearing in the U.S. She's tied to tragic accidents, like a girl killed on a highway curve. In St. Louis in the U.S., drivers report a hitchhiker leaving a message about cherishing life. So that's one. In Hawaii, it says Hawaiian Pele. A non-ghostly variant involves Pele, the volcano goddess, who appears as a hitchhiker to test kindness. I like that, actually. Oh. The drivers who pick her up are rewarded. Those who ignore her face misfortune. Often an old woman or a young beauty, she vanishes near volcanic sites. This reflects Hawaiian values of hospitality and respect for the divine. That was interesting. There's a few.
Pretty interesting too. So there's lots of stories like that of even in Snow White. Is it Snow White? No, Beauty and the Beast, where they come to the door, knock, ask for help, and don't get it, and then they're cursed. Right.
Well, I kind of went with a global perspective because we've all heard of the vanishing hitchhiker or hitchhiker stories. So it's interesting to hear. There's a few. Go ahead.
Do you think that those stories start as urban legends to put fear into people just so they'll be good, or is there some factual history to that, and then it takes off from there?
I don't know, because is it people talking about it, a belief, and it carrying on and building into something physical? I think some of it could be, but to me, I think there's some truth. Like most people, there'll be people that'll tell a story just to get attention. But like we talked about this, sometimes there's material things left in the back of, say, a cab. And the cabbie's got a camera and he's catching this. Not everybody's going to be telling a story like that, making it up, right? We got to obviously think, like Michelle Wilfong says, some stories are embellished. Yeah. But here's one that was caught on camera. Hang on, I'm going to share it right now. I have it loaded up. Okay, so terrified. I'm going to pull it up over here too. So give me a sec. So this is the picture of what was caught. Hang on. I got a million different.
Hey, Stephen, your ears burning? We were just talking about you not long ago.
Hi. So, of course, okay, hitchhiker. Terrified trucker picks up ghostly hitchhiker in supernatural moment caught on camera. So this trucker was part of a convoy driving through a region of Argentina when he spotted the woman at the side of the road, who was later seen clinging to the back of his rig. And this is the picture, I guess, that they caught. So she's on the back of his truck right there. Or I can't tell you how many countless people, not necessarily, it's not a hitchhiker getting into the vehicle, but they're on the side of the road. It's usually truckers that see them. Have you heard of those?
I have a story.
Well, please tell. I'm going to take
after we watched the video.
It was just a story. Like, I won't get into the major story. I still got lots of stuff. If we get to it, we get to it. If we don't, we don't.
So it's not actually a driving story, but it took place in a parking garage, actually. Mm-hmm. So I was going to park on, I think it was like the third level. We were going up to maybe second level, but I had my kids in the car, or it was a van. Mm-hmm. So I had the kids in the van, and we were going up, and you go around, you go slow, right? You're going slow up those parking garage bends, mm-hmm. up into the next level. And so we got up into the one, mm-hmm. and as we got there was a girl that looked like the girl from The Ring, the white dress. She had white dress on, with dark long hair, and it was all forward. You couldn't really see her face, but she looked like mm-hmm. a little girl. So, like, she looked maybe 10 to 12 years of age, just like looking down at, and I screamed, and we were at the peak of the bend to get onto that next level, and I slammed on the brakes and yelled, and all of the kids were asking me what I was yelling at, and I'm like, do you not see what I just saw? I almost hit this ghosty girl in the parking garage.
Oh, like, why did
it was gone? I screamed, and then it was gone.
That's so creepy, though, because they're always in white, or they look like The Ring, like the girl from The Ring, right? With the long, black, creepy hair.
And it was just like around dinner time. So it was still light out. It wasn't dark out. It wasn't in the winter. It was through the summer months.
Oh, I believe you.
Like, mm-hmm. Not drinking, not doing drugs, not under the influence in any way. Stressed out single mom with a bunch of kids. Mm-hmm. Not watching horror movies like that at that point. I mean, I love horror movies and I'm okay, but watching horror movies, but I wasn't at that time because the kids were small. And yeah.
I think you brought up a good question. Thank you for sharing that story, because that is creepy, and I believe you that you experienced that. But the thing
I know I did.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know. I believe you. But I think you asked a good question, because that's what kind of annoyed me with some of the research, especially if I used anything on the internet, was, well, it's an urban legend. Well, then, like I say, we have to take into the odds of people. There are going to be people that are going to tell stories for attention. Yes, that can happen. But not every single story is a cry for attention. Never mind that even when you go back, like, I prefer to even look at video back in the day that's caught on a camera that's not as easily manipulatable as it, I'm trying saying that word 5 times fast, than it is nowadays. Like, right nowadays, you got to question everything. Like Michelle was saying last night on her show, and she's right, like 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 times, and look in different sources.
Yeah.
So how are people catching these experiences on cameras in their vehicles? And I mean, some people might be good actors, but I've seen some people's faces when they look back in the rearview mirror and the person's gone. Or that Selena Spooky Boo story, that was really intriguing.
Mm-hmm. I know that when I, after that experience, I asked around and tried to research to see if there was an accident, some unaliving, anything from that area. But I never found a story that would help me understand why that experience happened in that particular location. And I wasn't doing sessions, so it wasn't like I had a session prior that day or that week or coming up that spirit showed up in that way ahead of time. So I don't know. It was a pretty random thing, but it shook me for sure. And then I was scared to park in the parking garage every time I went.
Yeah,
I was going to see it again. And Selena's, is that what she goes by? Selena's Spooky Boo?
Yeah, I have the video saved if you want me to play it. It's not that long.
Yeah, I think it would, because it goes along with the story. And my question too is, a lot of times it's raining. So the stories of the vanishing hitchhikers, there's rain involved. So, does thunderstorms, lightning, any of that play a factor? That static energy, does that build up and open up a door? Is the person who's picking them up kind of energetically sensitive, so their light is shining bright, so those spirits are attracted? How does that work?
Well, we agree that obviously, even on a paranormal investigation, if there's thunder and lightning and a lot of rain, you do seem to get quite a bit of activity from the extra energy that's there. But what my thing was, and you're right about this, these are all good questions to ask. Like, why are we seeing this phenomena? Like, and I told you a story that I had come across that, and I didn't save it. I wish I would have, but it was a gentleman who had just asked the love of his life to marry him. And I think this was back in the 60s, and they were on a highway. They got into a car accident, and unfortunately she lost her life. And around the time of the accident, every year, I think it was Easter actually, people started reporting picking up a woman, a ghostly hitchhiker, in the back of their vehicle. And I forget where she would ask to be brought, but by the time they looked back in the rearview mirror, she was gone. And then very sadly, as the story went, and apparently this is this guy's true story, it was 1984. He lost his life in a car accident himself, and the woman never appeared again. It was like they found each other in the afterlife.
Like, that's a tragic story.
Absolutely.
Well, Sparkus, you enjoyed those tacos. That's what my son ordered for himself and his girlfriend. So they're downstairs having tacos right now.
Oh, good. Now let's hope it's
Thank you. Don't forget to hit that like button. Thank you very much for that.
Okay, I think I got her story uploaded here. So hang on. Let's hope it's going to go full screen. It usually doesn't want to when I try to get it to. So we'll hang on, guys. We'll try this. Give me a sec.
And I
last time I tried this.
So she is in Ontario as well too. So
yes. Oh, it did. Well, pretty full. Okay, so do you want me to play it? She's on TikTok. She's hilarious. She has the strangest stories, and she's just
paranormal things.
She's kind of just, she's lovable. She hangs out with Call Me Chris. They're both Canadians and besties. So I can play it. Is it on the screen right now, Kerrilynn?
Yep.
Okay, good. I'll just play it then. Hang on.
Happened to me while we opened this vampire Barbie. Her name is Dracula, and she's pretty. Out of high school and as a teenager, I started working.
It's got some delays. Does it?
Our cars out. There was like 2.5, 3 feet of snow. I was driving a Jeep Compass at the time. Oh my gosh, this girl's so pretty. Everybody was taking the 401, but I was way too intimidated by that, thinking that everybody was going to go too fast and I was going to take the back roads. Weird idea. So here I am. It's just about to start getting dark. It's kind of that weird purple time. I'm in this stretch of area that's between the towns, and there's just trees on each side when I notice something up near the road. I'm peeking at it down, and I notice that this is like a full person. Not only was it a person, but it was a young woman. Being a young woman myself, I was a little nervous because I could tell that she wasn't wearing a coat. I'm about 50 meters away at this point, and I can see that she has her thumb out, and she is hitchhiking. Now, let me tell you, it is -5 outside. It is snowing like crazy. This girl is standing on the side of the road with like black motorcycle boots on, ripped up, pretty much jean shorts, with a flannel around her waist and a black tank top. She actually looked like this character from Coven. Wow. Being a young woman, seeing her on the side of the road, immediately I started to pull over. I kind of miss her a little bit as I pull over, and I can hear her crunching through the snow as I put down my window to come to my passenger window. She leans into my window like this and looks at me, and I say, "Hey, do you need a ride into town?" She does nothing. I say, "Is something wrong? Do you need a ride into town?" She nods her head, and I say, "Jump in." I thought that she was going to get into the passenger seat in the front, but she goes and opens up the back door. She gets into my back seat, and I move my rear silent and wickedly weird. So I look at her in the rearview mirror and I say, "Hey, are you from around here?" She shakes her head no. We're driving along thinking maybe she'd say something back, but she didn't. So I said, "Do you need some help?" She looked at me eye to eye in this mirror and didn't make any movement with her head. Simple conversation about the weather, but the one thing I can tell you is she never answered anything I said with her voice, only a shake or a nod of her head. We were getting into town, and I went to look in the rearview mirror. I was staring out front, and I said, "Do you want me to take you to the police station?" And I looked in the rearview mirror, and I didn't see her. I frantically turned behind me, and I started looking side to side, side to side. This girl was not in my back seat anymore. I pulled over, knowing that she didn't leave the closed car while I was in there, got out, and opened up all of the doors. The girl that I picked up from the side of the road was not in my car. It was definitely the most flabbergasted that I have ever been. I know that I had picked up this late teenage girl in my car on the way home, and now she was simply missing. Next day, I drove past that spot, and there was nothing there. No houses were even close. Years later, I shared that story on my podcast and found that many people had had the same similar experience. Some even with the same sounding girl, some with others that looked nothing like her. Over the years, I've wondered, this girl, if maybe she's in that forest, if she was a ghost, because that's the only thing that makes sense. If I think back to how she was dressed, it really would have fit for like the late 80s and early 90s grunge era. I couldn't tell you exactly where I picked her up now along that road, but there isn't a week that goes by that I don't think about picking her up. And I just hope that wherever she is now, she's okay. Ooh.
Yeah, so Kerrilynn, you told me about this story, and it was a good story, I thought.
Yeah, I knew that she had that
To basically,
experience.
yeah, I thought it was a good story because she has weird experiences. Cassine says we have the same story, but with a more violent ending.
Yeah.
That's a common story, actually. But is it because it's legend and lore, like you brought up the earlier, Kerrilynn? Is it because we all talk about this? That's why when we were doing the show, I said, "Oh, please start with your stuff first," because I bet nobody's really heard of this, which is true. Because we've all heard of a ghostly hitchhiker before.
Well, I hadn't until I watched that video. Honestly.
Oh, you had it?
I mean, you see it in, I saw it in movies and stuff like that, but I had never read like an actual report. Like I hadn't seen it. And then, well, that might be a lie. It's either that or the tsunami like experiences. So one or the other, but that was the first time I really heard about them.
I have another one, and I've just realized I'm going to share it because this phenomena has been going on, not so much around Malaysia, but Thailand and the Philippines and around, where people are being caught on closed circuit cameras and security cameras and stuff. People are just walking around doing their thing, but they have no head on the camera. So I'll share this. This is another haunted hitchhiker story, but from Asia. Malaysian headless hitchhiker with unique
headless stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a unique twist, a hitchhiker with a detachable head demonstrates its gruesome trick before vanishing, often tied to rural roads. This reflects Malaysian folklore about restless spirits and the dangers of trusting strangers. So, but is there something to this? Because I have seen this. If you look this up, I see you start that, so we'll get to this story just a sec. But they're showing up on, it seems not manipulatable cameras, like security cameras and stuff, and people are just strolling along and they have no head. There's other people all around and their head's not showing up on the camera.
That's crazy.
You want to share Stephen's comment?
Yeah. Wojo, thank you for being here. So Wojo's story. So Wojo, Bigfoot Banter with Richie B, Saturdays.
Awesome.
Yeah, Saturdays.
Mm-hmm.
So similar story about the red-headed hitchhiker here in Massachusetts. Somebody picked up the hitchhiker and the hitchhiker asked for a lighter for a cigarette. And when the man turned to look at the hitchhiker, the guy disappeared, but left the lighter on a seat on the front passenger side.
Wow.
So we know that we know that ghosts and spirits can move items, make them appear, disappear. And so that's all possible.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I said most people, so that's what I did with the research as I looked around. There's also one in Japan called the Yuki Onna. And though not always a hitchhiker, the snow woman sometimes appears in modern tales as a spectral passenger. In a case closed story, I guess that's what it's called, case closed, a driver picks up a Yuki Onna who intends to freeze him, but spares him for his kindness, melting away instead. This blends ancient folklore with modern travel fears. So interesting. Then we get La Llorona, like I brought up, the woman in white, Mexico. Constantly that story comes up. Mm-hmm.
Wojo's just sharing Route 44 hitchhiker. This is part of the Bridgewater Triangle. So my question is, the people that pick them up, is there something that they're needing to learn or acknowledge, or, because I would think that's a life-altering experience, like when you have that kind of, and I always find like people want to say that they don't believe in that stuff, but they've all got a ghost story. They all have some kind of weird experience. So, that I'm curious about that as well too.
Well, never mind. Like I say, the same thing, right? I always say I don't bring up the paranormal or what I do when I'm, especially in a group of people, but invariably, especially usually if there's a glass of wine or something involved, I don't drink that often, but people loosen up a bit and then somebody mentions something spooky or weird, and then somebody else joins in, and then before you know it, the door gets gently nudged open, and in 20 minutes the door is kicked open wide, and 90 to 95% of people, even if they don't believe in it, they've had high strangeness or something happened they could not explain in their life.
Sam is just sharing. So Sam's Pretty Normal is sharing. There is one here in North Carolina at Lydia's Bridge in Jamestown. She needs a ride back home, and you drive her, but she disappears when you get to her home. Interesting. Yeah, there's lots of stories and repeated stories.
Yes, so this phenomena, it appears globally with a little bit of a twist around the story. Yes. Now, it's not a tulpa, but you know what I mean, a collection of energy in the way of history, stories, beliefs, people talking about it, and, the energy building, if you will. So is this something that manifests physically? Is it truly just legend and lore? Is it people that need to have that experience, that they're going to learn something from it? Mm-hmm. There's so many different
reasons. Trauma.
Yeah.
Grief and trauma. And where Wojo is sharing as well too, that Bridgewater Triangle. So similar to, this energetic hotspot with other high strangeness, right? So does one push the other one to be more prevalent? Is like dominoes. We have this, so then this, so then this, like one more thing happening after another, right?
You know what? One country that didn't come up in my research, but there's got to be some story, is Russia.
Oh.
That didn't come up. I just realized that now. That really did not come up.
Interesting.
Interesting. I wonder why.
Did Australia come up? I would think Australia.
I don't know. Let me take a look. I thought I had seen that. No, it didn't. So there's a South African one, Germany, Austria, and Italy, the UK. But no, I did not see anything in the way of Australia. And I did quite a bit of research. This is just sort of, I put it all together in one little package here. But no, so Australia, and that's basically an island. So why did we not hear about? So usually Mish is here from, or Jody. I know my friend Jody. So they're from Australia. We could ask them if they had any stories. Hopefully they'll let us know if they're watching the replay, maybe. Let us know. Do you have stories about these phenomena?
So when I was out with my friend Jody, we were out doing we do the Pioneer Cemetery crawl through the summer months. We do investigations at the Pioneer cemeteries. And we were going down this road and it was quite a steep road with a big bend. And she said that road around the bend is known to be haunted, where somebody's standing on the side of the road and people see this person standing on the side of the road. And she didn't say that they were hitchhiking, just that they were seen. But we didn't have that experience that night.
We got some great comments
for sure, Chernobyl, but I agree, Chernobyl, Stephen, but was talking about the hitchhikers, right?
Yeah, but that's a good idea. Like, because if you're going to find high strangeness there, it's got to be in Chernobyl. Or I like what Vet Girl said. I wonder if anybody ever picked up the same ghostly hitchhiker multiple times. I would wonder that too.
It sounded like in Japan they were.
The ones I've seen, I didn't see that, but there could be, right? It just depends who's telling the story and what and why.
Yeah. I don't think I printed them out, but yeah, asking if they were dead. I've read reports of those ghost fairs, asking if they were dead, or leaving things in the car for sure as well too. But yeah, it's
so
sad though.
We know, we've said this every week. We could just touch on this story and come back in a year and dig even deeper and deeper. There's so much to dig into. I just wanted to share what Kasoon said, because he lives in Sri Lanka. So he said, our story involves a woman in white carrying a baby. She hitchhikes, always sits in the back seat. After a while, the driver realizes that she's, that's terrible, biting the baby's neck. On rare instances, the driver, I'm sure he's going to add more. That's morbid, because oh my goodness. Are we just about ready to get to our? I know he'll type the other part, but we have our.
Do you want to do our listener story, our listener submission? Thank you, everybody.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say thank you, everybody that's been sending your strange story, haunted story, ghost stories, high strangeness. The unexplained, we appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
We do. And now it's starting to get dark, so I really can't see. So I'm losing things in the dark here. Okay, this is our reader submission. Give me a sec. I have it ready. Okay. So, hi, Kerrilynn and Lorilei. I thought I'd share a couple of things that happened to me. I've had many experiences. When I was visiting with my friend at her parents' home in British Columbia a long time ago, her mom began to share stories and photos of strange occurrences at their home. At the end of the evening, we could see our shadows on the wall as we walked by from the dining room to the living room. I held my arm up, and you could see my bones in my arm from my elbow down. It baffled everyone, even me. My friends put their arms her mom asked me if I was a twin. I said no. My friends put their arms next to mine, but my shadow was different. Just at this home, it was. It startled my friend so much she didn't want to drive home with me that night, but she did. Were you going to say something?
Well, that's just like,
I know. I'm still reading because I want to get to the other part of it. That is crazy. And I'm guessing this is from Kathy M. She's got another little story to add on. Like, holy cow, like what happened? So then she said another crazy experience was at a friend's home he rented in Toronto. Lots of orbs and activity in this old home. One night I stayed over and just had gotten into bed. I was laying on my back. Next to me was a nightstand with a lamp with a big lampshade. Next thing I know, the big lampshade was placed on my stomach. Oh my gosh. No explanations, as we were the only two people in the home. Both of us side by side. He was by the wall. We were baffled and it scared me. He said I attracted the spirits even more when I would visit. I want to say no SHIT. Sherlock, holy cow. Holy cow. Holy cow. Thank you for sharing, Kathy. That is crazy.
Thank you. How would you even see your bones like that?
And everybody else, it sounds like, witnessed it too. So
yeah,
it wasn't
everybody saw it.
Mm-hmm.
How is that possible?
And why? I was going to ask why. Like, why would you see that? That is just crazy.
So could she shift her timelines? Could she be like wibbly wobbling in and out somewhere? A weird little portal that opens up like Doctor Strange? Open it up to move through? How's that
What I'm
happen?
going to say, she's probably a lot more powerful. And I don't mean that from an egotistical perspective, but from manipulating energy and being able to do things with it that she probably doesn't even realize. That would be my thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
So the little part to Kassoon's story. So apparently the driver notices that the woman in white is biting the baby she's carrying neck. And then he said, then the driver sometimes dives into the police station, freaked out. Or drives into the police station freaked out. When the cops open the car, the woman has vanished and the driver had a heart attack and dies right there. Oh my gosh. That's morbid.
Yeah, that is a more violent story for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah. I'd be okay if the hitchhiker was like going to leave snacks in the car. I don't need a cigarette or a lighter because I don't do any of that. But if they wanted to leave me snacks in my car, I'd be up for that.
Oh, Greg Cost says I need an alert. I don't miss your show. Thank you.
Hit that notify me bell. You hit that notify me bell, and you'll not miss a show again.
So Wojo says there are reports in Canada, England, Sweden, and South Africa. We didn't even get to some of the stories tonight, but I really, like, after Kerrilynn told me the things that she shared with all of you, I went, holy cow, we got to do that part first for sure. Absolutely.
Oh, sorry, I'll take that down.
Oh, that's okay. I put it up there and forgot to take it down. So you guys, we got like just a couple minutes left, but we want to tell you, please stay tuned for the second night of the Outer Realm with our amazing station manager and fellow UPRN host. We joined her for her birthday last night on the first night of the Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche. So second night tonight, she's got a great guest, and she's also doing Beyond the Outer Realm, I think on Tuesdays. Yeah, we got lots of new shows coming for you guys. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we have the Don't Whistle at Night
on Sundays
with Dawn Yazzie and Dan Yazzie, not related. Sundays at 4 p.m. Eastern. And if you guys want to share, if you want your story, do you want me to read that?
Sure, I can. And you want to do the teaser, or what do you want to do? And
Doesn't matter.
Okay, well, do you want me to read it? You can do the teaser, and she's going to wind up.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you basically a call to action to all of you. You don't have to be from Canada. You can be from all over the world. So if you got a story that gives you chills, strange encounter, you can't explain, we want to hear it. Believe me, we want to hear it. Send us your true tales of the weird, the haunted, and the unexplainable. Your story could be the next one we feature. So you're going to submit your stories to, I think Kerrilynn, she got it here ahead of me. So she already did it. So it's streaming across the bottom, but you can send it to kerrilynn's with a S, porch @gmail.com. And we would love to hear from you. We will keep your anonymity. If that's something maybe you would prefer, we're happy to do that as well. Right, Kerrilynn?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. If you would rather us not share your name, then that's okay. You just let us know.
No, we forgot to tell them to. we each have our own shows. So I have the Angel Rock on Mondays, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you have tomorrow.
Tomorrow, so Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern, Spirit Switchboard. And my guest tomorrow is pet medium Rob Guttrow.
He's awesome. I've had him on years ago. He's amazing. You're gonna have. As soon as you said his name, I remembered him. He was awesome.
Yeah, he seems like it. I had Kat Ward. So Kat Ward is a fellow UPRN host as well too. So the Paranormal Heart podcast, and he was a guest on there. And when I had Kat on my show, he popped in the chat and was talking, and he's like, "Hey, can I come on?" For sure, come on. Everybody would love to connect with him. So
no, he's awesome. You're gonna have a great show tomorrow. You always have a great show.
Thank you. So next week, guys, we are going to be talking about the mysterious mine shaft creatures. So you've not heard of the Kentucky goblins or mysterious mine shaft creatures.
Tommy knockers.
We are going down another rabbit hole for sure. So we sure hope that you can follow along on the Angel Rock on YouTube, Spirit Switchboard on YouTube, UFO Paranormal, UFO Gods.
UFO Gods and Extraterrestrials, but we have our main channel back now, thankfully. So it's UFO Paranormal and United Public Radio Network on YouTube as well. Yep. And I'm still working on TikTok. That's why I was a little bit disorganized before we got started, because I was trying to get that darn thing to work, and I will have it back so we can stream over there again eventually too.
Yeah. Thank you everybody in the chat who participated. Thank you so very much. Thank you to Joe Montaldo for popping in and saying hello to us tonight. Our fabulous owner, Michelle DeRocha, whose birthday we celebrated yesterday, our network manager. Thank you to the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 in the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in beautiful New Orleans. We hope to see you next week. Yes. Have a good night, everybody. Have a good week.
Yes. Bye, everyone. Be prepared. We'll have something we're wearing next week, too.
Yeah.
You bet. Have a good one, guys.